I think she'll be back soon.
Welcome back to the Malarkey Taylor channel. Yes, the Betsy Ross Jeep is back in the shop. Unfortunately, I wish it was under better circumstances. We have an issue here. We've got to get this solved. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to solve it yet, because these, if you're not aware, these are very difficult to get out. These are tempered windows that are glued into place. And that glue is so strong that if you try to take the glass off of the glue, it basically breaks the glass. So my daughter backed into something and broke this piece of glass. It seems like it just hit the glass. It didn't damage the hatch. So I think we can save it if we can get a piece of glass and put it in there. I have two hatches. One of them basically matches the color of this, and there's another one that's green, and both of them I think have good glass in them. But I have never successfully removed glass from one of these hatches without breaking it. So I'm going to try a couple things here on Betsy Ross to try to get this old glass off. And if I can get it off, then I'm going to try that on one of the hatches that I got. So thanks for stopping. Let's get to it. See if we can get this glass fixed. I think I finally found a plan here that will work. I was really trying to save this rubber piece, but it didn't get saved. It's really glued in there. I'm hoping that maybe I can find a replacement or save the other piece on the other glass, something. Okay, I've been using a knife to cut down through like this, and it works, but it's really hard to get into the corner here. And then up here, for some reason, it was a lot harder. I think maybe it's just the angle. What I found has been working pretty well is this guy up and through there seems to be doing it. So I think I should be able to have this out in a couple minutes here. And if that works the way that I want it to, then maybe I can bring that other hatch in, and I'll try to get the glass out of the other hatch and give a shot doing this window replacement myself. I mean, let's face it, this is something I've never successfully done before, so I'd like to know how to do it. I guess, kind of. Anyway, I'm gonna get this going. Okay, well, we have the old window out. This is, some of the glue is still there. This is what makes it so difficult to remove those things. That glue, I still got to get that out of there. Old window's out, mostly cleaned up, a little bit of glass still to clean up, but I got most of it out of there. I got to take the little bits of glass off of here and get those cleaned up, and then I'm going to try to get the other hatch and see if I can get the window out of it whole. If I can get the window out of the other hatch, we have a chance of putting a new window in this hatch. But if I can't, then I think we have no other choice but to swap this hatch for the other hatch that I have out front and hope that that window doesn't leak. So let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the Brittany Jeep. It is the same paint code as Betsy Ross, so it's got the Patriot Blue, and it has fender flares and a fender and door that I want. I wasn't planning on taking the hatch off of it, other than to possibly sell it. I think this might be a replacement piece of glass, and this molding isn't quite right. And this, I think, has some leaking issues inside of it that might be coming from this glass. So if we end up opting to use this hatch, I need to take this molding off, which is impossible to put back on unless you take the window out. But I'll take the molding off and I'll just put glue around it, and it won't look super great, but it should then function if we can use that to keep the water out of it. But overall, this hatch is in pretty good shape. Oh, the struts aren't though. Yeah, you can kind of see the glue kind of smeared on the top there. That basically proves that this window's been replaced once. So It means that the heater should work, hopefully. Maybe. But overall, it's in good shape. I think I wouldn't have an issue using it. Now, being that I have Jeep Cherokees growing out of my yard, I also have this option. I'm not a hoarder, I promise. This is the other option. I kind of don't remember where it came from. That one seems to be in good shape. I never had a buyer for it, so I usually try to sell them whole. I wouldn't normally try to take the glass out of it, but an option for me is to take the glass out of that hatch and try to put it into this hatch. That obviously could mean that I end up with two hatches that don't have glass, because if I break that taking it out, then I'm hosed. That's what I got to decide. I don't know if I'm going to decide that tonight, but for you guys, I'll be right back. Well, I posted the question to an XJ group on Facebook about what I should do for this window. And I had a surprising number of people remind me that this type of Jeep existed before this model. So they made the 97 and newer ones with the metal hatch and a glued in back window. But 96 and older, the gasket around this back window was a rubber gasket that just sealed in place with a, oh, I don't even know what, it's just like a grip. So it just held on to this lip here and just held on to it. I mean, it never came out. It just, you could remove it with some soap and a rope. But this is very much glued in there, and it does not come off easily. Yeah, this guy certainly is just a glue in. It's like a urethane, same thing as they use for the windshields. So, it's not as easy as just taking a rope and soap and pulling it out, which is why it's so hard to get them out of the old Jeeps, because if you try to cut this out in the back of the hatch with a good glass there, I often end up trying to pry on it or something, and it just pops, because just a little bit of pressure in the wrong direction and the whole window just shatters. So also, the use of like a guitar wire, a guitar string, or a windshield remover is really tough, because this lip here, it's hard to get the piece through and then hold through. Then you have to cut it through with the wire, and it ends up scraping up your glass, or your paint anyway. Let me see if I have one of those. This is a windshield remover, but the lip is broken, so you can put that through and then pull. That cutter's broken on it. And I don't have a wire one. They always break, so I just use like a piece of hose and a wire. So you, like a guitar string with the little ridges on it, you can like fish it through and then work it back. It doesn't work. You end up breaking the glass. Because I have this Jeep, and because it's the same color, even though this molding is all peeling off, I think it will look just fine without the molding. So I think if we clean this up, we can make this look good. The window is in there good. It seems to be glued in pretty well. It'll be easy and clean to just change the whole hatch. We're going to change out the lock cylinder so that it works on the other lock, and then swap this whole hatch over. I think it'll look really good. The good news is we still have this other hatch that we can keep. It still matches. It's still in good shape. So if we ever do have another issue in the future, we'll have them put one in here. The first thing we got to do to get this hatch off of here is to take this plastic piece off. I know a lot of times people don't, and they try to struggle with getting these wires out, but we have to take this off because there's a clip in here with a wire that we got to get to. I've got all the screws out around here. I took the screw out from here and here. These are a T30, I believe, Torx head. And I just use a little piece of plastic to pry the ends out of that. So now we've got this whole hatch free. And now we've just got to pop there's plastic brackets in here that we have to pop loose. Hard to do one-handed, so we're just gonna pop this thing up, but they just snap out. Let me set you guys down. Tight. There we go. Now we got that out of the way. This is what we're after here. This guy comes out a little bit. And then we can take those guys out of the back and then we'll fish them through. These pieces are actually kind of frustrating because they all have different ways of being latched in. This one is latched in by that piece here on the front and that piece here on the back. So on this end one, this piece, these two pieces here latch it in, so you have to kind of pry it up. The middle one is latched in by this little trigger on it, and the end one is latched in by this piece right here, this little piece that holds it up. So it can be a little frustrating to get those unlatched. And now we have to fish those back through this hole. And there's one other thing we have to take off, which is the light. Go. Right in there is where we fish all those guys through. Usually look like with this rubber grommet is what they should have. Like that. Okay, I couldn't find the junction for this. I think they put it in the joint. We're gonna make a junction, so I just took this top panel off here and cut it. This is a donor Jeep anyway, so if you don't have a junction, you just have to make one by cutting it and putting a thing in there. This rubber boot is in good shape, so we're going to reuse it. These wires are free to come out. That means the next step is we've got to take the bolts out here and take the struts off and pull this hatch off, which means you need a friend or help or something. What we're going to do is we're going to take the bolts out first.
Yep.
And then it's gonna lean down on these hatch struts, and you're gonna stabilize it. So you're gonna kind of hold it there. It's gonna start to lean on you, and then it's gonna want to try to like do this.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna put two hands on it,
like this,
and when it starts to get unstable, you're just gonna kind of keep it resting against the truck, and then once I get all the bolts out, I'll take it, and you're gonna try to fish these wires out. And then take the struts off. Get this and hold it. And you need to kind of fish those wires out. You see what I mean by it's like kind of going weird?
Yep. Pulling them out of the door?
Yep, you're pulling them out of the door.
Just checking.
Got one of them.
There we go.
All right.
What?
I need to fill that.
Could you pull? Yeah.
I want to just we're gonna put the green one back on here. Oh, that might be. Oh, okay. I was gonna say it might be closed for good, but we're good enough. Good enough for government work. All right, we're gonna do the same process on this one. These need to get fished out once we free it a little bit. We can try. No, it's gonna be better to just kind of lift it up. These struts are a little stronger, which is good because it means that it will be easier for me to hold it. But it's also bad because it'll be more wishy-washy. So, but the nice thing is about this one is it doesn't have glass, so it's a little bit lighter. Yeah. All right, why don't you do the all of the bolts this time. That way I can kind of hold it.
Okay.
Assembly is the reverse of disassembly or something like that. Let's fold these guys down so that they're not in the way, but they're in the way. We'll put the top ones in first, like we did before, but that means I'm gonna pick it up and hold it. You're gonna fish these through the hole. You know what? We didn't look at the. Oh my.
Oh. Wait a second.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay. Scratch that. I'm gonna take that wiring harness out and fix it.
Okay. Does that mean I have to take this off then?
No, I think if we get it in here and dangling, we should be okay. But I think it means that I have to take this rubber piece off. Oh man.
That's
I
frustrating.
forgot how much that really doesn't. That's not fun. All right, so this is the dilemma here. We have a wire that is bared, and so from all the years of turning, it got brittle and cracked. So now, do I want to address it now, or do I want to try to put it back together and wait for something to break and then...
You know it will. It'll break.
And then fix it then? I don't know. We got to decide. This harness is cracked in there. If you can see, there's a bunch of wires that are cracked. I thought maybe it was just one wire, but there's probably 4 or 5 wires that are all bare down to the copper. So now is the best time to do it. Now is the best time to fix it. So what these plugs don't fit through this rubber grommet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it off here at the edge, and then I'm going to pull it through. And then I'm going to make a new piece of wire that'll connect here and go all the way into the thing, and then connect back up to these guys, so that there is new wire all the way through the rubber. So you have to pull this out, connect it, put the stuff on it, then fish all the wires through, and then connect these ends to them, and then plug them in. So we're going to end up adding maybe 6 inches of wire to it. And the best thing to do for that is to go get a piece of wire, and it just so happens that I have a Jeep over there with all of that wire. So we're gonna go get it. Okay, we got the wires cut out of the top, and then I got a piece from the other Jeep, and I fished it through that grommet, and then I've got to fish that through here, and then we'll attach it to that, and then we'll attach that to there, and then we can start putting that back on. But I've got to basically splice all of these wires twice, once inside the Jeep here, and then once in and then once in the hatch. All right, well, that's where we got to tonight. I've got to come back to it. I started putting this harness back together, but I ran out of steam for the night. I got to go get some sleep, and we'll come back to this tomorrow. Get that going. There's always something with these Jeeps, you know. There's always something. We're hoping to just throw this hatch on tonight, but we'll be back tomorrow. So we'll see you in a minute. I have the wiring harness fished back in the door. The big thick clunk of connectors did fit through there. I have enough slack here that this can fish through. the back deck there, and then we'll make the connection with that other wire once we're in the Jeep. It is a little bit tight in here to get that in. This wiring harness ends up having to kind of sit in there. The light will go around it, so you can kind of tuck that all in there like that. But you end up with extra wire in here that you kind of have to fish around and move a little bit. Shouldn't hurt anything, shouldn't be a problem, but you want to get those connectors inside the door and not stuck in this little rubber grommet here. This is all just a patch of wires. It's going to get bent pretty tight, and that's why they end up breaking all the time. I like to squirt some dielectric grease in there to try to stop friction for when it's going up and down, but it's just something that happens over time. But now that we have it like that, we're going to tighten these off a little bit so that they'll fish through the holes. We can put the hatch back on here. We'll fish those extra wires through the holes. We'll get those grommets back in place, and then we'll make the final connections inside the Jeep here, and then we can tuck that up behind that piece of plastic. I'll get to clean it. No, I'm just kidding. I gotta get it put it back together.
Look at Moose.
Is he a good dog? Are you a good dog?
He's a dirty dog.
He wants to go for a Jeep ride.
He wants to run around.
He wants to run around.
Run around. Run around.
Okay. What do you say, Moose? What do you say? Where'd you get that black on you? Was that? Where'd you get that black on you? Huh? Huh? Yeah. Yeah. All right, we got the hatch mounted up. We got the gaps about right. It's a little bit low here, but that's okay. It may be like low by like an 1/16 of an inch or something, so it's good. Nothing hits, latch works, everything's in good shape. So now we've got to join the washer hose and the wires. So that is all joined up in through here. Normally, like I had showed before, these wires will come out of there and then fish back through and you change the hatch. But as it is, we put a new piece of wire in there. There's a junction in there, and then there's going to be a junction here. And Mara is stripping those wires so that we can get them connected. Almost there, on the home stretch. All right, we've got, hey Mara. We've got them joined inside the Jeep now. Just have to use the heat gun and shrink them, and then we can bond them up and put them up underneath that panel. The color shading, because of the different places that they came from, is a little bit different. You can almost tell just because this is so wore out and faded, and this is so much fresher. Maybe you may be able to tell a little bit on camera, but from like back here, you really can't tell. So the difference is that this is just a slightly nicer paint than this one, but it's closer than green, which was our other option. We're gonna have to eventually do something about this molding. I don't know what we're gonna do, but it doesn't matter at this point. It will keep the water out of the Jeep. So we tested a lot of the functions. I got to put this brake light back in. The hatch, I just went through that so that works nicely now. Got it all greased up. We got the plastic back in here just like we should. And then the next thing I'm going to do is put the hatch cover back on. Then we will be off to the races. So hatch cover, windshield wiper, brake light, we're making progress. Well, let's see if she works. You guys tell me if this brake light works. Nope. No luck, huh? Do I not have any of those bulbs kicking around here? Oh dear. Oh dear, dear, dear me. That one right there ought to do it. Are you gonna do it? We'll find out here in a second. Fire in the hole. Yo. Yo. All right, how's that look? It looks like a third brake light, huh? All right, what about a windshield wiper? Okay, that works. How about the license plate light? Yep. Ain't no license plate there yet though. What about the door lock? Oh, that don't work at all. Door lock don't work. We'll check it this way. Do you lock? Yep. You unlock? Yep. Okay. Good deal. Hatch light. Okay. Alright, let's try this. Yep. All we gotta do is put this plastic on then. Where's the easiest first clip to start with? Not that one, because it's broken. Not that one, because it's broken. Okay. Broken. Maybe. Yep. 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 Nope. Yep. Got it. Nope. Nope. Good enough. Ouch. They make hammers for that. I should probably think about investing in one of those. Now we need some screws and we'll be done. We are all set. Hatch opens. It's got the plastic on it. Actually, that's an upgrade because we never put that on before. Everything is in really good shape. Mara is taking care of the license plate because that had some goo on it. And then I have just 2 more things I got to take care of, and then we are done. We ain't in Delaware no more. And with that, Betsy Ross is back on the road and ready to go. There's a couple more things that this needs. It's leaking a little bit of oil, and I'm not sure where, but we got to figure that out and make sure that it's not something major. And we have some more beautification stuff that we can do to it. I've kind of left that in Mara's hands. Whenever she wants it done, she'll have to bring it to me and we'll do it. And that's part of why it hasn't been done. She's just been driving it. But I have a color matched hood, and I have a fender, and I have another door, so that dented door and that dented fender can both get replaced. They were on that when she got it, and it was part of the plan to replace them, but we never did. So then once we get all that taken care of, I might pull a couple of dents, and then we might sand it all down or scuff it and spray it, if that makes sense, and if she wants to, because it's her Jeep, and she may not even want to do that, but she really likes it, and now she can drive it again. Thank you so much for stopping out. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. There's a whole playlist where we built this Jeep, but I already mentioned that it is in the corner. I think that's the right corner. I can't remember which corner it is. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you so much for stopping out. We'll see you guys next time. I think she'll be back soon. I think she'll be back real soon.